Just let the dust settle a little bit and just watch your breath. We're going to take a few minutes and just let people kind of come into the class. Hey guys. We're just going to give things about a minute. So let's just use this time to just sink into the room, sink into the chair or the cushion or whatever you're sitting on. And just really let your day come to a stop. Things get so busy. And at some point, you just have to still yourself. You just have to let go of the busy and show your mind through the stillness of your body and the steadiness of your breath that your intention is to leave that day behind. So just do that with me now. Sink into your breath. Take in the room the way you take in a beautiful... Oh. Thank you. Somebody just let me know that I was muted for the entire first part of this. Okay, let's start over. All right, everyone. Welcome to the class. Let's just kind of let the dust settle a little bit. You know, we've had busy days. And just give your body a chance to still. If you can still your body and just even out and slow down your breath a little bit, that sends a message to your mind, to your subconscious, that it's time to actually leave the day behind and just be here now. You know, a busy day just twists everything up. We spend all this time playing on the surface of the water, you know, playing on the surface images and issues of our day. And it just contorts everything until we're kind of just like a sponge that's just been twisted and twisted and twisted. And it's like we're just this twisted sponge that is sitting in this ocean of water, but we can't absorb any because we're just too tight and too twisted up. Let this be that moment where you unwind and unfold into the actual moment that you're living. Be with your breath. Be with the room. Be with your body. But ask nothing of these things. Ask nothing of this moment. Just tend to it with your awareness. If you can do that, you can unwind. And what you'll find is just like a sponge that is now opened up and can receive water, the energy that you've spent today can start flowing back into your body so that by the end of this session you actually feel better, more energized, more relaxed, more clear. So let's begin that now. Just anchor your eyes somewhere in the room, but you're not leaving the room. Let your body kind of just open up and relax, and just begin to breathe. As you breathe in, you're right there with that inhale. As you breathe out, you're riding that exhale all the way down. 100% given to the breath, because you literally have nothing else on your plate. Clear your plate of everything except the breath. Do that now, and let's just be in that together for a while. Leave your mind and your heart wide open. Let every tense spot in you gently unfold into this moment. Every cell in your being tending gently to this moment right here, right now. Nothing to achieve, nothing to understand. No experience to conjure or manipulate. Just be you at your deepest level. As you live and breathe in this moment. I don't know if you can feel the power of this moment. That power is your natural self. For most people, it starts out as a feeling of comfort. And then sometimes it swells into something much bigger. Something that can't even really be discussed. In Buddhist terms, we talk about it. We call it the natural state. It's unmanipulated consciousness. Every one of you has at the center of your being this absolutely pure, undiluted, unmanipulated consciousness. It's what you are when you stop throwing things up onto the screen of the mind. It's what you are when you stop pushing and pulling and begging and pleading and wanting and fearing and fighting and just always thinking that there's something you have to do or avoid in every moment. It's what's left when you stop doing that. It's what's left when you stop wringing out the sponge. And what's so special about it is that there's nothing you have to do to obtain it. It's just sitting there as the best part of you. And my natural state is not better than your natural state. In truth, when I am in the natural state in me, and you are in the natural state in you, we are one and the same. That's what a true human being is. A human being is a walking vehicle of unadulterated consciousness. That then becomes adulterated early in life by having their attention directed by other adulterated consciousnesses. And so we take on all of these ideas about life, and we think that we have to interact with it. And as you interact with it, because life is just one big mirror, pretty much whatever you tell life it is, it mirrors it back to you and confirms it. And so through that process, you take on all of these beliefs. You ascribe all of these characteristics to yourself, all of these characteristics to life, and you think you've got things figured out. But the truth is, none of it's really true. Life doesn't have any real characteristics, and you don't have any real characteristics. It's just a bunch of stuff you took on that you just made more and more complicated as you went through life because you didn't know where else to look. You know, the stories of life are so bright and shiny, even the dark ones, that they trap your attention. And you spend so much time in that for so long that you actually think you are that. Even though someone tells you that you're not, even though you read in a trusted book that you're not, it's almost like it doesn't matter because that can never be as real as your fears and desires. It isn't really until somebody actually invites you to stop letting that voice in your head direct your attention or hands you a technique that just kind of makes that happen, that you start to come back in contact with what you actually are, with the pure, unconjured, unmanipulated version of yourself. That natural state that doesn't need an internal dialogue to hold it up. It's just self-existent. And it's free. By free, I mean unbound. It's in a state of potential energy that can become anything. And so it's unlimited. And because lack is just one more story you took on, and not really a characteristic of life, in that natural state, you are fulfilled. You are complete. There's nothing that has to be done. It's just a simple shift in the attention. From that natural state, you can walk through life, and what you'll see is that a lot of people are suffering for no reason. And so you will take on tasks. You'll take on jobs. You'll live a life in the world to try and help people out of that a little bit. Or you might just go ahead and enjoy some of the stories in life, knowing that they're just stories. Be careful, though. They're seductive. And they can pull you in. But it's kind of okay, too. You get lost for a little while, and then when your quality of life sinks below a certain spot, it's sort of your cue to come back, and you wake back up again, and every time you do that, crawling back up to the surface of the water, you learn so much. So it's okay, that falling down and getting back up in your spiritual practice, that's actually a part of it. I've never known anybody who could get there without it. Eventually, you come to rely on it. One of the ways that you come to know what your issues are and your hang-ups are is you sit in the meditative state and you wait to be pulled out of it, and you watch to see what is actually capable of pulling you out of it. What is it that drags you back down under the surface of the water? And so you come to learn about yourself, and you come to prepare, set up little triggers for certain things that you know you're vulnerable to be extra vigilant. I used to know somebody who had an aversion to cleaning. And she knew that, that was something that could pull her head under the surface of the water. And so she became a maid. She became a maid to get as comfortable as she could get with all of what she considered to be the grossest parts of life. It's a major step forward when your mind starts to work in that way, because it means that you're starting to actually prioritize your forward movement more than just the flashy forward movements that happen on the surface of the water. The job promotions, the acquisition of people and things. You come to realize that one way works and one way doesn't. And you start to prioritize what actually works. You come to realize that when I am actively meditating, when I am really just letting go and being present and just breathing, a lot of the things that are wrong with my life just aren't there. They're not there in those moments. And then they return as soon as I just let myself kind of fall asleep again. You just come to realize one way works and one way doesn't. And so when you know that there's something that's going to pull your head under the water, it's like finding gold. When you can really see it, those flaws that you have, they're a great find. Because you can actually make yourself walk straight into that thing that you think is a barrier and show your body and your mind that this thing is not a problem, that this thing does not require your attention, that it doesn't require avoidance, and that when that thing is present, there's nothing you have to do to alter the moment. That's what life looks like when you really give yourself to the practice of meditation. And if you can really take that in and see it, you've taken in something very special, something that people don't really talk about in quite this way. It's a key to going somewhere in consciousness that most people will never go in this lifetime. It's a big deal. It's true adulthood. And it can take you into the highest levels of what it means to be human. So this natural state, it's really just like a sky with no clouds in it. Actually, more accurate would be to say that it's a sky that doesn't hang on to the clouds that are moving through it. A cloud being like a thought or a feeling. One of the best metaphors I've ever heard for this is actually from, again, Buddhism. And they talk about making your mind like a lake that is reflecting the sky. When clouds move over the lake reflects them. But those clouds are allowed to come freely and they're allowed to go freely. And the lake does not hang on to those clouds. Similarly, you've got a lot of programs built up in you. Your mind is going to throw things out at you. But when you're practicing meditation, you want your mind to be like a lake. Let the thought do its thing and let it leave when it's ready, and don't hang on to it and don't play with it. If you can do that, eventually what happens is you're going to step into moments where there are no clouds passing over the lake. And what's left is just a reflection of pure consciousness. And while to most of you, that looks like nothing from where you're standing right now, it isn't actually nothing. It's no thing, but it isn't nothing. Buddhists have a word that's often translated as emptiness, but it's not a very good translation. The word is shunyata, and that word is a word that means emptiness, but an emptiness that is pregnant with every possibility of the universe. That consciousness that you are is ultimately reality. It's the unlimited potential of the entire universe. And it's a vast ocean of exploration that starts when you enter into the natural state. At first, you'll enter for just moments at a time. But if you will just allow your curiosity to romance you further and further into it, you will come to see what it's all about. And again, that's not something I can hand you, and it's not something for me to even tell you about. It's your birthright to experience it. Get curious enough to really sit still, let go, and just be with your natural self. When something comes in, when a cloud moves across that sky, don't accept it as an invitation to leave the natural state. Just let it cross. Don't resist it. Don't play with it. Let it do its thing. Now, I'd like us to actually spend a considerable amount of time just sitting in that state. Before we go back in, are there any questions you'd like to ask about that? Is anything unclear? Okay. Then return to your breath. Be present in the room. Don't try to do anything. Just breathe in, breathe out, nothing else. Don't try to understand. Don't try to figure out. Don't try to make an experience happen. Get really comfortable with whatever you're sitting in right now. Don't ask it to be anything different than it is. Let your heart and your mind unfold gently into the mysteries of this moment. from that space, stay awake. This is not a sleepy space. Invite the wakefulness forward. Don't hold it awake. Invite it awake. Let's come out and talk a little bit. The hallmark of this state is unconditional acceptance. The things that keep you stuck on the surface of life I'm realizing I've mixed a couple of metaphors. The things that trap your attention are almost always, if not always, built on some form of rejection. You're either rejecting the moment that you're living, or you're rejecting some aspect of yourself. To you, it feels like you're reaching for something else, but there isn't anything else. There's just this moment right here, right now. That's the only thing that exists. You have a dream of a future moment that's like a bubble. It's not real yet. You have a past that you remember, but that past is, just memory stored inside your brain. None of that is real. It's not happening right now. So to reach for something outside of this moment means to be out of touch with actual reality. The question arises, well then how do we actually build anything in the world? When you're living from the natural state, the way you build anything is you open yourself and you look for the open doors. You look for what life is presenting, and if you have an inclination inside of you to go in a certain direction or build in a certain direction, that inclination will arise in a way that reflects onto the screen of the mind. And you just walk through those doors. and you accept whatever is on the other side of those doors. You can always turn around and walk in a different direction. But it's about staying open, staying available to this moment, what's actually happening right here, right now. If you do this, you'll be living in a way almost nobody else is living. If you do this, you'll find that the doors that open to you are the ones that actually carry your highest destiny. You know, I've noticed this many times in my life. Once I start trying to force doors open, once I start insisting that things be a certain way, which is actually just a rejection of the moment. You can make some doors open, but you end up somewhere you weren't supposed to be. And that's okay. Open up wide and accept it. And walk through the next open door. And sometimes you're meant to actually just be still. Sometimes you're actually meant to just unfold in this exact moment. In spiritual life, we can stretch ourselves so thin with realizations that sometimes you have to stop that and just fill out from where you are. And that's okay too. If you're attending this class or watching this video, you are already somebody who the core of your being is reaching out for you to have an experience with it. As you sit in meditation, watch for those open doors. Sometimes it's very subtle. Sometimes it'll just be hard to describe, like something is opening up inside of you, some aspect of your sensory being, and you just have to kind of let yourself feel it. How much attention can you pay? You'll find that you start seeing things that are actually beyond your normal senses, and it just becomes very normal and very healthy. But that can only happen when you stop chasing after the shiny images in life and really let yourself sink into this moment that you're living. So this week, I would like to invite you to pay attention to the rejections of the moment that you put forth. I'd like you to start to notice it. And several times a day, you don't have to do it every time just now, but several times a day when you notice it, I want you to stop yourself, shift into your breath, and step back into this moment in complete acceptance. Now, if there's something you know is a button for you, something that you know shuts down your acceptance, I want you to invite opportunities. Just watch for an open door to have an experience with that thing that you're so used to rejecting. Okay? Nothing to conjure, nothing to manipulate. Just keep an eye out for an open door to have an experience with the object of your rejection. And see if you can be with it in an open way. Are there any questions about that? You're welcome to type them in the chat, or you can unmute yourself and ask. Or we can close up and call it a night. Okay, everybody. Thank you for coming, or thank you for watching, and I will see you again next week. Have a great night.